So I remember you talking about having a plan. What's the difference between a product development plan and the requirements document? You've got to have a plan of what you're doing. So how do you balance those two things?
Okay, so that's a good question. And actually, this is a good point to make a careful designation. So there is a difference between a functional requirements document and a technical or engineering requirements document. A functional requirements document is most often what clients have, and that's what they're thinking of. They say, okay, we want you to build a widget that does XYZ, right? And so they say, we want to build a doorbell camera that when somebody pushes the doorbell, it sounds the chime inside, and it also records a video and it sends that video up to the cloud. And those are the types of things that are in a functional requirements document. And that is fine. The functional requirements are necessary. That's what we're driving towards, and that's what we're designing towards. The engineering requirements are much more specific. So this is something that says the doorbell camera will have a 5 megapixel camera in it. It will be 2 inches by 4 inches in size. It will be powered by two AA batteries. It will have a Wi-Fi radio. Those are the types of technical requirements that would go into technical or engineering requirements document. And those are where it tends to get in trouble because if those are locked in, that removes flexibility. It is most often where you're going to encounter issues like the ones that I described earlier. Because for a high level functional requirement that says when I push the button, the camera is going to record video, there's not really two ways to understand that. That's pretty well defined and well understood. The problem is that there are dozens of different technical ways to approach that, each of them with different costs and trade-offs associated with them. So having clear functional requirements is good, but locking into technical requirements is what's required to do a fixed price bid and is most often where you're going to run into problems where some element of the technical implementation doesn't meet the spirit of the functional requirements. All of them will still meet the functional requirements, but it may not have the look and feel, or it won't have the responsiveness, or it won't have some element of what the client actually wants their product to be. And that's where those problems arise. And that's frankly where you end up fighting over those requirements. In my own experience prior to starting ES, that was what happened. We ended up just going back and forth with the contractor, and they said, well, this meets the requirement. And we said, well, this isn't useful. We can't actually use this. This isn't what we want. And they said, well, it meets the requirement. And so that's what we want to avoid. I never want to have that argument with someone. I never want to be the person saying, this meets the requirement. And sometimes people say, well, how come you can't just fix it then and make it the way we want it? But obviously, the problem with that is that it exposes ES to potentially unlimited liability. If I say, okay, we'll do this for a fixed price and we guarantee you'll be happy with it and we'll just keep working on it until you're happy with it, then the sky's the limit, right? It could turn into anything. And so the balance that we have found to work most effectively is the one that I described, where we provide an overall estimate up front and the client then approves blocks of time within that estimate. And those blocks of time give us some convenient gates just to, circle back and review what's been done and make sure that everybody is still feeling good about the direction, to make sure that we're moving towards the common goal, to make sure that the client feels that they're getting good value for their investment. And then when everyone's in agreement on that, then we proceed with the next block of time. And that provides flexibility in doing the development work. It provides some cost controls for the client. This isn't something where you're going to end up 9 months or a year down the road having to pay off the balance of some big amount because it met the requirements document and still have something that you can't use and you've got to expend additional resources on. It also allows everyone to go in eyes wide open because sometimes people say, well, you could do a fixed price bid and then just do change orders when changes come along. But psychologically, when people get a fixed price bid, in their mind, that is the cost